Okay, hello. Today we are going to discuss our next topic, typical mistakes while creating test documentation. Ludmila, do you think we've got some kind of typical mistakes?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of, I think in every work it's absolutely unique for sure, but there are many typical mistakes that we've seen in each, almost in each work. So let's start with the checklists, and we prepare for you a new form and also like two verifications, so to check in our checklist. And so let's start from the first one. Seems like it's not very bad,
Yeah,
right?
because actually you've got some fields, even a little bit validation is provided, so maybe it's close to being full.
Yeah, but what's wrong with them? So maybe the first, quite obvious. Do you see any mistakes in English here? I can correct this one, and this is like
And I
more.
suppose S is like a redundant in create new album type in.
Absolutely, yeah, agree with you.
Yeah, you can think that it's kind unimportant mistake or something like that. Still, such mistakes can be really confusing. I remember being at my first project and try to to execute some test cases, and that was a mistake in the word repeat, and it was like I could not understand what should I do. So I have to ask to a person who was the author of these test cases to identify, do you mean repeat or maybe you mean something like other?
Yeah, I also have such story on my first project when I just started the project, and they gave me a lot of test cases to execute them to be familiar with the application. And after several hours, I also found a mistake. There was a mistake in what screenshot, and I went to my test lead and asked, what does it mean?
Yeah.
So it's really important, yeah. Okay, next point here, we see that several fields are mentioned, but you should pay attention what you should verify. So here we have all fields, so it's okay. We have title, description, but one date, but one field is missed here, so we should add this. Mm, Also, maybe it's better to
Yeah,
put,
formatting is always matters
yeah,
actually.
absolutely. So can use this. And the next problem is you see that like fields are mentioned, also some information about what should be typed here mentioned, but this is not full. I hope you understand this. What is missed? Okay, let it be. Here is mentioned what can be typed. So here's just letters and numbers. But what the second option is missed? It's a length. Don't forget about this.
Yeah, such a test cannot be passed successfully because actually you should also verify the minimum, the maximum number, like appropriate confirmation, maybe messages, error messages, and so on. That's
Yeah,
absolutely impossible.
absolutely. For the photos, we should give format, for example, and the size. We can use like this, something like that.
Yeah,
And
also remember, if you've got to enter the date manually, you also have to check the format of the date. Okay, if you've got a calendar to pick the date, so it's going to be put automatically. But if no, be sure that you've got all the information you need for testing.
yeah, absolutely. So, and what is the most important thing here? So it seems like this verification is full, but it's not, because it's not a functional one. To make it functional, we should always click the button. We not just need to fill just fields. It doesn't matter for functional testers, but we should press to see the result.
Yeah, again, remember that despite the fact that in modern applications there is an option of validation after the entering, still you should click the button and check that it works correctly.
Absolutely. And if we are looking on this verification, it seems quite good, but still I would recommend you to add formatting here. And now you will see how it will. Maybe it's better even to select
Yeah, the
this one.
perception of such checklists or test cases with a proper formatting is much better.
Yeah,
So you work like more effectively while executing these checks.
absolutely. Maybe even is okay. Let's it be so. It's like option. You see how it's better for our eyes to understand what we should do. And always we recommend to use just black color, not to use in different colors, because it's like accessibility. Not everyone can see all colors. At the same time, if you would like to print your testing documentation, it's also possible. Usually in the companies, they use just black and white colors printers, not colored one. So just to be simpler, just use this.
Yeah, do not try to make your documentation like prettier, more
Yeah,
beautiful, or something
yeah,
like that. Remember that it's still a documentation.
absolutely. So I think we finished with this one. Let's look at this one. I will move it a little bit at the top to
Yeah, it
be
seems
better.
that the main mistake in this check is like a very popular one among the testers who is just starting their career, who is just learners.
Yeah. Here we also can see that there are two fields, and we creating an album filling these fields, but one field, or here in our special this example, it just one field with an invalid data. So it's a contradiction. It's impossible. It's like here we have like positive result, so we're creating a new album, but filling invalid data. So actually we will not create this album. So here we should enter something like impossibility to create.
Yeah, remember that all your checks should be logical and understandable for the whole team. So it is expected that this kind of positive check, if you start with the word create.
Yeah, and the next big problem is that there are two negative checks in one verification. So here you see that in title we can put only letters. So here tester going to verify on numbers, and in description go edit special characters, so true negative verifications. It's possible, but it will be in extended testing level. If we are talking about verifications one by one, only one negative check should be presented in this verification. So it's better to verify something incorrect in one verification. So if
Yeah,
we Mhm.
actually, we've just will have no possibility to identify what goes wrong or what was right. For example, if you will try to create the news and fill title and description, both of these fields with invalid values, and you will have an error message, and you will think, okay, so that's work. The negative check passed. But do you are you sure that both of these fields like passed? Maybe the error message comes for title field and the validation for description field is missing actually at all. So to locate the bug, you should always test fields one by one.
Absolutely. Also, I'm not sure about should we add this explanation about all other fields with valid data. So it's like moment of your thinking how to group it, but you should definitely like identify, specify what is the problem. Maybe just placing this with a empty space, something like that.
Yeah, specify the negative variant of the check.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, and this like as usual, it can be clear. Um, yes. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all for the checklists. So you should remember all the time that your one verification should be full, included all needed information for the check, and at the same time it should be functional, again with the full, but at the same time it should include just one negative verification. It's possible to have several ones, but it's like a next level. So I think it's
Yeah, and
all for
always remember about spelling and formatting because they makes your documentation good and effective.
absolutely. So moving next to the test cases, there are also can be a lot of mistakes here.
Yeah, maybe the first one that is like a pretty common mistakes about the title of test cases. Maybe you think that it's kind of an optional test case attribute. No, it cannot be missing. And if you will look at our test cases, you will see that test cases have like absolutely identical titles. That's big mistakes too. Remember that you're gonna store test cases in the library. You should have possibility to find appropriate test case. So it should be clear. Their title should be short, clear, and unique, and can never be missed.
Okay, so first, I think what is the difference between these test cases? Are they the same?
I suppose the difference with filling all the fields or filling
Uh-huh.
only mandatory field.
Okay, so let's fill in this one
Uh,
here by
I
all
suppose
fields.
mandatory, there are some spelling mistakes in the word mandatory.
Ah, I can do this, yes.
Okay, still the next very important attribute of test case is precondition. And yeah, there are always some mistakes in the precondition. Remember, it cannot be like general or unclear or something like that. what do you mean by open an appropriate page, for example? What page is considered to be appropriate, yeah? Or to prepare files to add, what kind of files? Yeah, sometimes if your test case is devoted to adding something like images, maybe documents, you can have such like one more precondition, yeah, to prepare such files. But of course, in this case, you need the range of valid values, like it's not just files, it's images with appropriate format and appropriate size. So it's useless to write down, prepare the images. What kind of images should be prepared?
Okay. I
Yeah.
also, maybe it's a small mistake, but I also recommend not to mix together, but to separate also in preconditions as well. Maybe even in such, but it's okay. Like several,
Yeah,
maybe
again, it
even
will
this.
help you to work more effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving next, yes, to steps.
Yeah, I suppose that the first step is like a very typical mistakes of young juniors, or maybe people who are just learning to be testers. Remember that each step should be devoted to filling, to clicking, to entering like something one. So you cannot just write down fill in all the fields with valid data. If you're going to fill 10 fields, that's going to be 10 steps. So if you have to fill, for example, 2, 3 fields, that's going to be separate steps. So do not mix them. And also, of course, do not forget about providing a range of valid values. Again, you cannot just write down with valid data. Do not forget to add the information what data can be considered as valid one. So again, after filling the title field, the next like logical step will be to add the description. If there are more fields, there's going to be like more steps. Also take pay your attention to the fact that you should is try to avoid unclear steps. For example, add photos. What does it
What I
mean?
should do, yeah.
Yeah, what does it mean add photos? So just like clear instructions should be provided, because actually there is like a difference from checklists that you've got clear explanation, that means steps, what should be done. And if for adding the photos, I should click some button to select the photo somewhere, so that should be like a step for doing this. Again, if you're going to select the date, do not forget to provide the way it should be selected. Yeah, if you are going to do it manually, so do it manually, and that should be the step. If you will select the date, to pick the date by clicking the calendar icon, so it should be like this information should be provided into your step. And if you are going to click something, you should also do it describe how to do it right. Remember, again, this is a document. This is not like checklist on a sheet of paper, just like ideas. This is test documentation. You cannot write something like click save. You should, of course, use quotation marks and provide the correct name of the element. Is it a link? Is it a button? Maybe it is some kind of icon interactive or something like that. Maybe you should check radio button or checkbox. So do not forget to give the names to the elements. again, if we will move to expected results, do not.
Just a second, I would like to also add my favorite comment here. If you select for button, we can click them, click on or press. So, but if you choose one option, every time you should select just and write this option. So here I using click on, here as well click on, but here also should be click on. It's like a small mistake, but we should use one format and the same phrases within our whole document.
Yeah. Again, be sure that expected results are clear. So there is no like fields are filled. You should just describe, yes, the data, field data is displayed, or maybe if we are talking about the expected result for the last step, what does it mean? All is saved. How can you verify the fact that all is saved? Do you see kind of confirmation message? Are you redirected to some page where you can see actually that you've got a new album, or maybe you should go to the database and would be mentioned in the expected result that the new album is added into the database, and you will know that you should go to the database or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, I want to recommend you that you should describe an expected result, what actually you will see, not the process, because, for example, system saves data. You see how the system saves this data? No. So what you really see? So photo is displayed or edit photo is displayed in the field, right?
Yeah, in some area maybe. So
Yeah.
the expected result should be something that you can verify. But to be verified, you should actually see it or be able to go somewhere and see it. So be clear in your expected result as way as you were clear about your steps. So clear, concrete. Don't try to be like a very descriptive or too verbose. Only necessary information, but still do not miss something important.
I can't stop to improve this.
Yeah, that's that's always something to improve in the test case.
So, okay, what we agree to this, like, will be, okay, album is added.
And displayed on the page, maybe something like that. Here again, you can see
the list of all albums.
yeah.
In the table is the list of all albums. Cool.
Yeah, again, and you can see how like drastically our test case has been changed. Yeah, and now it seems that it's good to test the application.
Absolutely. So, moving to the next test case. What is the problem? Here you can see.
Again, some problems with the precondition that we've like resolved previously. So we can copy paste from our previous test case, and still if you will have possibility to look through the text, maybe the first that you will see that's again some kind of spelling mistakes. Yeah, like step with select or something like that.
New word.
For photos, yeah, quotation marks, click save button is missing. Yeah, and
also if in the previous test case we use just ordinary, so it's better to use the same.
yeah, common style is also
Yeah.
welcome and appreciated. Choose with double O, I suppose that's one more mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, you can see that here is also with issues with formatting. That's practically impossible to pass through the steps of this test case because that's unclear where one step is over and where the next like starts.
Yeah. So and also we would like to recommend you not to use these general phrases in test cases. It's better for checklists, and for test cases you can use just numbering. So you can specify in each step what should do. So just here we can use like this one. This is second one, third.
Yeah, again, while copy pasting maybe from the previous test cases, make sure that numbering, for example, is correct, because sometimes you want to leave, for example, some field is empty and you delete one step from the previous test case while copy pasting, and still the numbering doesn't work, and so that's a mistake, and it can confuse the other person who is going work with your test documentation. Be accurate with that as well.
Yes, this case about all fields, so here we should not forget about description.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like the variant of test case that does not correspond with the requirements. So if you've got all the fields, be sure that you've mentioned all the fields in your steps, provide the range of valid values.
I agree with you. And the dotted out. So numbers.
Yeah.
3.
Do not forget to change the numbers. And
5.
that's the same for expected results. Again, if you've got 5, for example, steps, do not forget that you should have 5 expected results. You cannot like write down expected results for the first 4 steps and forget about writing down the most important, I suppose, expected result for the whole test case.
And also it's better, it's like a good when you see each expected result
On the same level.
with the step, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a good practice.
yes. So here we have like 3. Then about, okay, I will copy this one, I think.
Yeah, remember that writing down test documentation is a lot about copy paste.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
just should be not absolute copy paste, but with usage of your eyes, brains. Let it be clever copy paste.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a lot of work to do. And don't forget about formatting. We are almost at the end.
Yeah, I suppose again you're gonna feel the difference, like with improved one, which are not gonna be correct, but again very usable. Like, do not forget about the usability of your test cases. That's very important. Just try to do your best while test design, and it makes the next stage easier.
Yes, yes. Don't forget that we're creating our testing documentation, not just for reading it, but we will use it in the next our phase. So it's important to make it beautiful and testable. So this will help us in the future. Okay, something.
That's always some issues with Google Documents, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're working with desktop systems or management tools,
yeah. It's better.
it's
Agree.
much better.
Yeah. So you see the different now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope this video was useful for you, and you will not do these mistakes while you're working on a project.
Yeah. Be successful. Bye.
Bye.